Hello, this is Linda Mullen with Back to the Beach Software, and I'm here today to show you how to work with the master page in Web Studio 5.0. I'm going to go over three areas. I'm going to show you how the master page works. I'm going to show you how to turn the master page feature on and off, and I'm also going to show you how you can include or exclude pages from the master page feature. So right now I'm going to move this out of the way. I am building a website for Clay Anthony, who is a life coach, and this is his home page. I've renamed his home page to Coaching Home, and I'm ready to start his second page. If you're unfamiliar with how to build a web page in Web Studio and you would like step-by-step instructions, then you would want to watch our Introduction to Web Studio 5.0 webinar. It's 55 minutes long, and I go through all the steps of how to make a website. So right now I'm going to click on the second page. Most of the time you'll notice that a lot of websites have a different home page, a different look on their home page than they have on their secondary pages, and I'm going to go to page number 2. And I'm going to build the second page. Now, I made these graphics into buttons, and I am going to copy one of them and take it with me, because I'm going to use the buttons on the second page. I decided that on my second page I'm going to keep my navigation bar across the top. Let me show you a screenshot of what I'm going to do. Here is Clay Anthony's homepage. This is his master page, and these are his pages that I built from the master page. This is his services page and his testimonial page. But in web design, the way that this usually works is you start by building the second page to see how you want it to look, and that's what I'm going to do now. This is already a button. I can show you that if I double-click on it, it opens the Rollover Button Studio. The color has a change because when I move the mouse over this button on the Internet, I want the customer to see a change in the color. And I'm going to close that Button Studio right now. He has 5 pages, so I need 5 buttons. I'm going to push the Control key down, click on the button, and drag. That gives me a copy, and I'm going to do it again. Control, click, drag, Control, click, drag, Control, click, drag. And I want 5 buttons to go across the top of his page. Now, if these buttons were too large, and I'll make them a little smaller so you can see how it's done, I select the button and just use the side handle to reduce the size a little bit. And while it is still selected, I'm going to hold down the Shift key, click on all the other buttons, go to the Page Layout tab, and make them equal size. Then I'm going to put the first button where I want it to be, the last button where I want it to be, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select all of the buttons, even off the tops, and space them horizontally. Now I need to change the name of the button. This will be Home, Services, Testimonials, Prices, and I'm going to leave that as Contact. I'm going to go up to here and save my project, and then I'm going to use the Preview button so I can see the page in the browser and see what it'll look like on the Internet. Here's my buttons. And I like the way they look. Now sometimes these buttons have just a little bit of a white showing through, and that could be because there is some transparency applied to this button. I would right-click, go down to Properties, hit the Graphic section, and sure enough, the transparency is checked. I'm going to uncheck that. And the reason I'm doing that is because later on my background might show through that little white transparent area, and I don't want that to happen. So this is a little trick for turning off the transparency when a button comes out of the gallery and still has the transparency applied. You can do this for any graphic that looks funny on your website and you're wondering why the background is showing through it. Just turn off the transparency. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to change the page color to match the home page. I have this pale green color, and I like to work with a color scheme. I make little graphics that have the colors in them that I'd like. But in this particular website, I went to our graphics gallery, and I clicked on this little icon with the folder, double-click on it, and that opened a selection of color schemes. And I used one of the color schemes from the gallery. This is the one I used. So I'm going to go to the page color, use the eyedropper tool, select this green, and make it a little lighter for the background. The next thing I want to do is create a large white rectangle, and I don't want to have a black border on it. I do want to have a border that matches this dark green. I'm going to make the width about 3 pixels because I really want it to be seen well. And I'm going to make it very large. Most of the words on my page are going to go on this white rectangle. I want it to go behind that little graphic that I made, so I'm going to send this to the back. Now I can still see my color scheme. The next thing I want to do is make a panel on the left, and I want the fill color of the panel to be a lighter shade of this peach color. And I don't want this to have a border, so I'm going to go to width and take that off. I'm going to use the handles to resize it. And I decide that I really like the look of this page, and I think I'm going to use this layout for the other pages in my website. So rather than, I can do a couple of things. I can select this page and click the duplicate page button and just make a lot of duplicates, but it's really much easier if I use a master page. So because I like this design, I'm going to keep this design and make this page into my master page. The way that I'm going to do that is to right-click over the page name, and the second choice down is Use as Master Page, and I'm going to left-click on that. Two things have happened. Notice that the page name is now changed to Master Page. Web Studio automatically renames the master page for you. This also means that you can't name any other pages in your website master page. You can only use that for the master page itself, and Web Studio does it for you automatically. The other thing that happens is that this little icon changes to an M. And you'll notice here that on the tab, it is called the master page. Web Studio also makes sure that when you upload your website, your master page doesn't go with your website so that people don't click on it and see it as a page of your website. Let's see what happens to the other pages now that I've applied a master page. When Web Studio adds new pages to your website, it comes in untitled, but it also comes in with include the master page on this page checked, which means if you have a master page, your new page will come in with all of the items that are on your master page. This is my new Untitled 6, and notice all of the items on the master page are here. If I try to select any of these items, they don't select because they are part of the master page that's being applied to this page. Let's look at Untitled 4. I'm on Untitled 4. I can see that the tab is here. The little X is on the tab, and I can close that page, go back to Untitled 6, and all of these pages have the master page items on them. Here's Untitled 3. Now let's go back to our home page. And the home page doesn't look like it did before because it now has all of the master page features on it, and I really don't want that, so I'm going to take them off. And the way that I do that is to right-click over Coaching Home and simply uncheck this box. Immediately, the master page items are gone. I can do this with as many pages as I want. I can use the master page on some of the pages, not on some other ones. I can also go to, for instance, page 3, take it off, and later change my mind. I want to have all the master page items back on page 3, so I'm going to include this page on the master page once again. Now things are looking pretty good, except my color scheme is part of my master page, and I really don't want my color scheme to show up on any of my other pages. So if I go to the master page and I cut that off and stick it on my screenshot page so I have a copy of it, I go back to my master page. I'm going to save just because when I do things in my website, I like to save frequently. Now let's go back to Untitled 3. See, the graphic is gone. That means that whenever you add something to the master page or take it off from the master page, it automatically is added or removed from the other pages. I'm going to go to Untitled 3, and I'm going to make this my services page. I right-clicked over the name. It opens up the dialog, and I'm going to name it Services. Then I'm going to go to Untitled 4, and I'm going to name that Testimonials. Now I already have a services page made on another project, which is something that's interesting. You can make a page on another project, select all of the objects on the page, then Control-C for copy, come over to your new project and do Control-Alt-V for paste in place. I'm going to get rid of some of these things for a minute. And you can see that I have created some things on this page that fit on the master page from the other project. These need to be a little resized. My other project was larger. So I can move things around on this page now and design it any way that I'd like and still maintain all of the items on the master page with these. If I select these, everything that is added on top of these master page features can be moved and selected. Let me show you what it looks like with the master page turned off. Now I'll turn the master page back on. I'm liking this design, but I feel like there's something missing, and I think what I'm going to do is put a shape here that's a rounded rectangle. I'm going to fill it with the same colors and use the border the same color as the large rectangle that I have on my page. I'll make the width 2 or 3. And I'm going to do this because I'm going to put a little label on top of this panel. And I'm going to use that to label my page. When I have customers on my page, I want them to know what page they're on. If I'm using drop-down menus, I would do something like label the page. Even if I wasn't labeling the page, I like this shape And I think what I want to do is put this shape on every page. So I'm going to copy it and go back to my master page and put it on my master page. I would really like that on every page. I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to go back to my services page, or was I in testimonials? Okay. I have to rename my page because this is now my services page. These are the kind of things you do when you're making a website, and it's much easier just to go back and rename the pages. And this is services. Oh no, this is testimonials. This is real life when you're building. Okay, so I'm on services, and I've put that shape on the master page, so now I have an extra shape here, and I can just delete that. And now that shape becomes part of the master page. Let's go to testimonials. And once again, I'm going to go to my other project. I'm going to select all. I'm going to copy. And I'm going to come back here, and let me show you that you can actually paste in place from also a command. Everybody's on the page. I made this little object down here from a couple of shapes in the Draw tab. A little rectangle on top of a rounded rectangle. I'm going to save my project, and I really like the way it looks. I'm going to keep my master page the way it is. This says testimonials, which is the testimonials page. This says services. But one of the other things I like to do for my customers is I like the button to also show what page they're on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the master page, and I'm going to pick up a button. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to go to testimonials, and I'm going to paste. There's a couple of things I'm going to do. I'm going to double click to open the Rollover Button Studio. And this time I want to change the color of the main button. That's what I really want to change. And I'm going to make this kind of that peachy mauvey thing that we had. And this is the testimonials page. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to move it over that button. I'm also going to fix that transparency in case that has to be fixed. Save the project, and now I want to see what it looks like in the browser. There we go. People know they are on the testimonials page. I want to do the same thing on the services page. I'm going to change the color. I think I was around 159, so I'm going to use that color and save the project. Now the last thing I want to talk to you about, well actually no, I have a couple more things. The first thing I want to tell you about is that even though you have a master page, and that master page applies everything on the page, including the background, you can change the background on the page and still have all the master page objects left on the page. So let's go to testimonials, and maybe I think on this page I want a different color. I'm going to choose the peachy color and see what that looks like. It still gives me all of the objects that were on the master page, but it places a new background over the green background that I have on my master page. After I apply this background, I decide that it really doesn't look good, so I want to remove it. I'm going to right-click over the background, and I'm going to choose Remove Background. When you're actually building a website and you're going from page to page and you're making design changes and you're constantly moving around, it may happen that you have a background on a page and then you apply a master page and you can't figure out why that background isn't showing up on your page. Simply go to your page, right-click, and choose Remove Background. If you right-click and Remove Background is not highlighted, it's because this page doesn't really have a background of its own. It's using the background on the master page. So once again, you can come in here, you can add a different color, right-click over the background, and remove it if you don't like it. The last thing I want to talk to you about is linking. This is really cool because once you come to your master page and you apply all the links to your pages, those links are carried through to every single page that you have. If you have put a new button over a page, you don't have to worry. It doesn't have to have a link. If you want to put a link on it, you can, but the link would just take them back to the testimonials page anyway, so it really doesn't matter. You can still put a button over here, and the other links on the other buttons will work. So my customers can link to any of these buttons, and if they click on services, they're not going to go anywhere. They're already on services. So let me just review before we close. You can choose any page to be the master page. If you decide later that you want to choose a different page, you right-click over another page and say, use this one as the master page. It will ask you, you already have a master page. Do you want to switch to this page? Yes. This now will become your master page. If you decide you don't like this page, you can go back to this one, right-click over it, and choose Use this one as a master page. It says you've chosen to change your master page to this one. Do you really want this master page? Yes. The other thing you can do is change your mind later on and decide you don't want to use a master page at all. So you can right-click and uncheck and click Use as Master Page. It says you have chosen not to have a master page. This will change all of your pages. Unless you want this to happen, click No. I do want this to happen. I want to get rid of this page as a master page, so I'm going to click Yes. If I go back to my other pages, all of the master page features are now gone. I can come back and turn it back on again. Use as master page. I can choose to have any page be included in the master page, or I can exclude it. Right-click over Testimonials, uncheck Include the master page on this page, and it disappears. Later on, I can add it back on again. So I can have a master page, not have a master page. Turn the master page back on, have it applied to a page, take the page off. I can add items to the master page. I can take items off. When I add them or take them off and I go to the other pages, all the other pages are automatically updated. I'm going to go back to the master page, and I'm going to Control-Z to undo what I just did and save my project. Now I go back, and my form is back on the page. I hope this helped you today, and you enjoy working with your master page. If you want to review some of this, you can go to our wiki at wiki.webstudio.com. Scroll down on the first page and go to Pages, and it will have an entire list of articles about the master page. Thank you for joining us today.